What's up? What's up? What is up? Another episode of the Ball Hog Sports Talk because we got another Friday. We got a whole bunch of sports, business, and entertainment to get to this week. This week, there will be two of us from the Ball Hog Sports Talk crew, myself and the Big Flow Show. We're going to get started in today's episode. We'll go by the title of Pride and Joy. We have all heard that saying referred to something that we treasure. If there's someone or something that we treasure, we always call it our pride and joy. The actual definition of pride and joy is someone or something that makes someone very proud and happy, like our children. So we're going to get into a lot of those topics as they pertain to sports, business, entertainment. It's the Pride and Joy episode of the Ball Hog Sports Talk, where sports, business, entertainment collide. We promise to do it rough, rugged, and raw. Although there are only two of us, we're going to bring double the funk, double the entertainment, and double the arguments. Oops, we mean debates. Here we go. It is the Ball Hog Sports Talk. Fasten your seatbelt for another week, man. Let's hop in.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, and stay woke. Because this is the Ball Hog Sports Talk with your boy, B. Brown, ESQ, a.k.a. the Ball Hog, a.k.a. the Mouth of the South. This is the place where sports, business, and entertainment collide. And we're going to give it to you rough, rugged, and raw, so come get you a spoonful, like some grits with butter and salt. You know how we do it in the South, y'all. Make sure you do not get caught in your feelings. Strap on your seatbelt and enjoy the ride. Come on, let's go.
Straight from the Windy City, you know who we got in the building. One of the members of the crew of the Ball Hog Sports Talk, my man, the Big Flow Show.
The only one that matters. The only one that matters. What's good, America?
The one that matters, man. I like that, man. That's what it is. It's sports, business, entertainment. You know how it is. We got to be confident. We got to be cocky. We got to figure out how to bring the funk, and that's what we're going to do this morning, man. On this episode of the Pride and Joy, I see you got, like always, the B.I.G., Notorious B.I.G.
Man, Notorious B.I.G. You know what's going on?
Rocking the Notre Dame.
You know, I got to adjust, because we don't. There's three of us, but Ellis has some things to do. It's a big month for Ellis, so he's got things to do. He's out celebrating. We'll catch him next week.
We're gonna catch him next week. But this week we're gonna get into a few topics, man. We have the NBA Finals, so we'll start there. But I decided to name the show this week Pride and Joy because, as we all know, it is Pride Month. But there seem to be a lot of pride-related topics in sports, business, and entertainment this week. And so we're going to discuss a few of those. So stick with us. One of them being the first openly transgender cheerleader in the NFL for the Carolina Panthers. So we're going to talk about that. Another one being MLB pitchers deciding not to support Pride Month with certain decisions that they made. But we wanted to start Pride and Joy with this conversation about the NBA Finals. Because we know that the Celtics fans are clinging on to this possibility that if they win this particular finals, they then overtake the all-time winningest organization franchise, again, the NBA. And they have played that way throughout this playoff run that it seems like they're playing with a little more pride and joy, a little more dedication and commitment, and so, there's something about this Celtics team. So when they went back to Boston, each one of the games has been a double-digit victory by whoever came out on top. This week it happened to be the Boston Celtics, and look, you've got the champs. There's a dynasty in place right now, and it's the Golden State Warriors. It's their dynasty that is being sort of attacked and under siege by what Boston plans to do. And Boston was able to win game 3. So now they're up 2-1. They put Golden State on the ropes. Draymond played horribly. 2 points on 4 shots and has 6 fouls. And that was probably the not even the worst part of it. If you watch the game, he just seemed out of sorts. And and got thrown around a little bit. Jaylen Brown, who he was guarding, had a field day. We've all known Draymond Green to be a defender. We don't have the ultimate Celtics fan on today, ETP, because he is away this week. But
celebrating.
We still want to represent that Celtic pride and joy today. Is this something that Golden State just entered a buzzsaw? Are they getting unhinged because they're fighting against something that seems to be a superpower? Look, I'm a Miami Heat fan, and I wanted that shot to go in when Jimmy Butler took the shot in Game 7.
We're still on that?
I'm still on that. I had to say it.
Okay.
I would be disingenuous if I didn't say it.
Sure.
But I also feel as though we're seeing, you know, how sometimes it just looks like, man, it's just their year, right? It's just their year. They looked at. I looked at a recent stat and said that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they're able to pull this off. The number of first ballot Hall of Famers that they had to defeat to get to this position. You look at the talent that they had to send fishing, whether it be the Brooklyn Nets that they swept.
It's a hell of a fishing trip, isn't it?
They're sending people fishing left and right.
Hell of a fishing trip.
And look, they are 2 games away from sending the dynasty of our era, second dynasty behind the Chicago Bulls. I'll give you that. But clear dynasty, second dynasty of our era. They're 2 games away from sending them fishing. Or in this case, everyone off season, but denying them yet another championship. Is this Celtics team, is it just made for them to win, man? Is there because they have an old formula, they play defense, they play together, anybody can score. Is Golden State destined to fail when it comes to trying to defeat Boston? It feels that way watching Game 3, but at the same time, all of the games have been lopsided. Maybe Golden State comes back in Game 4 and wins a double-digit game. But I got to admit, Boston looks pretty tough. What say you?
I say these playoffs have shown us that there's just no way you can predict anything until it's over. I mean, I wouldn't say every series, but more series than I can remember in recent playoffs has there been such a swing back and forth. I think about Dallas. Yeah. How many times Dallas looked like they were down and out, about to get destroyed, and then would win the series. Bounce back. So it's like, hey, the game is over. You can't play any worse. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch a lot of the game. But I watched the score, and it looked like it was bad. Then it got really close, and then it got out of hand. It just, any given moment, there's a run that can happen, I think, either way. With the Splash Brothers, I think that, when they're hot, they're hot. When they're not, and I don't know what their stats were. Maybe we can get that up, P. But I don't know what the stats were for the Splash Brothers. When they're hot, they can shoot you out the gym. But when they're cold,
they can shoot you out the gym. But they just shooting their own team out.
Shooting the gym because, they used to always say you get your long shot, long rebound, right? You miss a 3, it turns into a fast break. It's usually a 5-point swing if it missed. Somebody could do a Steph at 31, so he did what he was supposed to do. I don't know what his other brother did. Dude looked like he's at the Y. He's probably the most unathletic looking superstar in the NBA.
In the history. There's got to be a stat for that.
He looks like he should be having next at the Y. He looks so unathletic when he runs around. There's no swag to him.
No.
He busts your
and
face.
then wears a headband on the top.
Wears a headband just to make himself look that much sorrier. Clay had 25, so it's not their fault. It's not their fault. I can't say anything about it.
I think it was defensively.
I tried Draymond. How did the superstar do?
Andrew Wiggins has been, for those who don't know, that little snide remark, that jab was at me. Andrew Wiggins has been the consummate, consistent professional in this
if Bobby said he's a superstar, he's a superstar. I mean, that's the only criteria I need.
Robert Williams from the Celtics was a difference maker. And, he was scheduled to be a game time decision because of an injury. He ended up playing, and he to me, got him across the finish line in Game 3. But role players have to, the others, if you will, that's what they call them on TNT. They have to step up and show out in playoff experience.
Who did you just refer to as a role player?
Say again?
Who did you just refer to as a role player?
Robert Williams.
Okay. I thought you were talking about superstar. I'm sorry.
He's a superstar. He's a role player, too, on that team. You call them the Splash Brothers, and Andrew Wiggins is
points. He's an okay guy. Everybody did all right. 18 isn't bad. Draymond, you're that bad, huh? Sometimes, you can't watch the game. You got to read the game. I'm reading the game now. Draymond, you're that bad, huh? You're like,
no, Draymond was that bad. But hey, but having said that, Draymond is also known to bounce back, just like he did in Game Two. And we'll see, man. I just think that when you think of pride and joy, you think of the Celtics pride, you think of the city of Boston, you think of that franchise and their fans. It seems as though this train is moving, and it's moving fast, and there's nothing that any of us can do about it because, to be able to pick them up and knock them down when it comes to the Brooklyn Nets and sweeping them, and then beating Milwaukee, which no one thought that they could do, and then they beat a team that looks a lot like them in terms of their style of play in Miami. They've done everything that you've asked them to do, and they came out of the East. That was a very competitive conference this season. It seems as though Golden State might be up against a little bit too much. I never put anything past Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and the others. Everyone who is not named those three is considered the others, even Andrew Wiggins, who is a superstar in my humble opinion. But they might have bitten off more than they can chew. It just seems as though Boston ain't going to be denied. And those type of stories are good stories when it comes to sports. I'll give you last word on it, man, before we move to something else. But
I don't. Kerr,
you got to give a shout out to Boston.
Kerr, you've been part of so many championships now, both as a player and as a coach. It's time for you to step up and make something happen, man. I mean, you got to go out there. You got to win the next two. Bang. Big. You got to win them big. You got to make statements. It can't be close buzzer beaters. I mean, I don't know. I had you guys to win. I tend to be right, and I don't like the fact that you threatened my rightness. But I really don't make anything out of a single game in these playoffs. One blowout doesn't matter. You lost by 50. It doesn't matter to me. The next week is you run it back. It's something completely crazy. So that's the NBA this today. I mean, I don't know if there's quitting those guys when they start to see that they can't do it. They don't want to extend the energy, and they just let the game go and say, "I will get you the next time." Sometimes that happens, but it sounds like everybody but Draymond showed up. They still got pistol whipped though.
Yeah, the depth, man. The depth that the Celtics have. When I say depth, I don't just mean scoring depth. Just who they can turn to defensively in those matchups. They just. And I didn't think that because I honestly, a little bit biased because I'm a Miami Heat fan, but I honestly thought Miami should have won that series. But, Boston dominated game one, ended up being a 12-point difference, 120 to 108, but they dominated from beginning to end. The final score doesn't really show what happened. Mm-hmm. The Warriors bounced back in game two, 107 to 88. So, and for the most part, it was a 20-point game after what that third quarter and fourth quarter blitz that they had was just, Boston couldn't come back from that. But then last night, the Celtics win 116 to 100. So again, every game's double digits. Who knows if Golden State's going to be able to bounce back? Should be good basketball to watch. Good fun, and I love this type of time, man. This is when people who have avoided the NBA all year, they tune in. So we'll see what happens in Game 4. Your prediction for Game 4? Still in Boston, the city of pride and joy. You had the Boston Tea Party. You had all the Boston sports stories over the years. You think of Kevin Garnett and anything is possible.
I mean, you had to say Boston.
Can you beat them in Boston?
Go back there. I think the Splash Brothers going to come back. They're going to win this game. It's good, but I think it's going to be a close game. I think Boston's going to be too gritty. They're not going to let it go seesaw, blow out anymore. But I do think experience will prevail, and they're going to come back and win. The good thing about winning and having a history of winning, there should be no panic, right? No one's hitting the panic button. They're going to come back here. They just beat the hell out of you guys a couple of days ago. Draymond is a really good basketball player. He's a warrior. He's got a good attitude towards competition and all that kind of stuff. He's going to, unless he gets himself some techs. How is he on the tech game? Is he close to a suspension on that?
I don't know where he's at with it. Who knows? But
Glass Bart, I was just thinking that exact same thing right now. Glass Bart said, KD can't wait to troll Golden State if they lose to Celtics. And I'm thinking to myself, there's nobody right now who's more excited. He probably has a Celtics jersey on. And he's at the house in front of his TV.
He's wearing Kyrie's old Celtics jersey.
Not brushing his hair or nothing, just out there waiting and cannot wait if they lose.
I
He'll be
hope
so
he's not
excited.
hating like that, man. I hope he's cheering for his brother.
KD is such a hater. Oh, I can't wait. He probably has his fake account throwing darts at people, throwing stuff at Draymond. He got about
Look,
three
man, he got him 2
ghost accounts.
championships out of that and 2 MVPs. I don't know why he would be upset. I hope that he's cheering for his Splash Brothers and his old teammates.
Nope.
But who knows? Let's move on, man, because the finals, while they have been exciting and they guarantee to continue being exciting, Game 4 in Boston, make sure you tune in. That should be a very exciting game. It's not the only thing going on in sports right now. This week, I don't know how to say it lightly other than just hop right in. There were yet 2 more massage therapists that have joined the lawsuit. So if you're counting, it's up to 24 massage therapists that have joined this lawsuit against Deshaun Watson. Now, there's a story that came out this week. Jenny Vrentes, who does a great job. She's in this area. I think she's a Jets beat writer, but she's dug a little deeper into some of these claims. She dug a little deeper into what happened. She dug a little deeper into the total number of massage therapists. And so current math has him at 66 total massage therapists in the last 17 months. The 2 additional plaintiffs now mean that there will be 24 women in a civil lawsuit that claim Deshaun Watson did something inappropriate while hiring them for their massage therapist services. The attorney on behalf of the women, the plaintiff's attorney on behalf of the 24 women now, is now adding the Texans as a defendant and said that the Texans were complicit and they knew that Deshaun Watson had a fetish or a problem and was subjecting women to sexual misbehaviors. So they're going to add the Houston Texans as a co-defendant in this civil lawsuit. This story, Jenny Vrentes also revealed that there was a constant conversation between the DA and Watson's attorney, Rusty Hart. To the tune that, because there's always conversations, there's always opportunities to talk to the prosecutor, but to the tune that it seemed as though the fix was in. All of these stories come out.
In which way? In what way?
The fix was in the sense that they weren't going to move forward from a criminal standpoint. So, yeah, I'm just reporting it. I'm not commenting.
No, I just wanted to make sure we were clear. I didn't know which way you meant the fix was in.
The fix was in. But all of these stories come out this week. In addition, and I can't think of the writer, but someone also disclosed that because of these latest allegations, the way the contract is written, that the Browns might be able to void the contract, either void the contract or some of the terms of the contract, find them unenforceable and be off the hook to pay him all of that guaranteed money. Now, as a Browns fan who has endured all of this crazy conversation about allegations, because at this point they are allegations. It's from a criminal standpoint, they did not rise to the level of prosecution. And from a civil standpoint, the standard is very different. It's not beyond reasonable doubt, right? There's a different standard, burden of proof. And so he very well might have to settle or damages. If they decide to take this to trial, the plaintiffs might be awarded damages. Guilty is not the word that you use when you're talking about a civil trial. So let's take that out of it. This is a civil trial, not a criminal trial. But at the same time, a civil lawsuit rather versus a criminal trial. But at the same time, all of this information comes out, looking at all the guaranteed money he has, in this episode, it just seems as though pride and joy, our pride and joy, our quarterback. It's my quarterback, man. It's my quarterback. Our quarterback is under siege, man. And so I don't like talking about allegations. I hate. It feels as though there's a lot of he say, she say right now, but
he
how
said,
do we
she
not
said,
talk
she
about
said, she said, she said, she said, she said, she said, she
a whole
said, she
bunch of
said,
shit?
she said, she said, she said, she said, where am I? She said, she said, she
You
said.
gotta keep
That's the
going. You gotta get
problem.
to 60. No, you gotta well, only 24 of them claim that he did something inappropriate.
Here's
I
my
think
problem, B.
17 of the 66 therapists decided at the request of Rusty Hardin to give essentially character statements on behalf of Deshaun Watson and said that he was professional in their encounters. And so right now, if we're doing a number, it feels like we should get what's my man name from MSNBC that looks at all the elections. Look at
That dude who's always working and moving.
I can't
I know
think
you're
of his
talking
name.
about. All he needs to get is California.
All
And he's
he
gonna
needs to get is because of the 66, 24 women have said he's done something inappropriate. 17 women have said that he was nothing but professional. We still got some outstanding ballots here, but this feels as though it's not going anywhere, so we have to talk about it. So although I'm hesitant, how dare we not talk about it? What are we pulling from the Deshaun Watson file this week? The new article that was written by Jenny Vrentes, the new details that have surfaced when it comes to what he did and how long he did it. What do you say? Because we got to talk about it. What do you think about Deshaun Watson?
Well, I mean, again, I said it along. I think he's got just something there, right? We did the knowledge though. It was was it three therapists a 4 therapists a month or 3 therapists?
4 therapists a month. 4 therapists. If we're saying over 17 months, that's about 4 therapists a month.
So here I try to break it down in conversation. I've probably been to in my lifetime 25 different massage therapists. If I'm being like this time. Now, most of the time it's been because I don't go regularly to any one place. I might go to a chiropractor and they got a massage therapist, and then that same chiropractor may have 3 or 4, whichever one does my massage that day. I may have gone on a trip with my wife or something. We've gone to a spa and I get a massage therapist. So if I added it up, I would probably guess 25 conservatively, maybe a few more. I don't have the lifestyle that he has. So if you start to think about it, like where he's getting from, the question I have is were they that if it's not a entire sexual experience for him, were they all so bad that you never got a regular? You know what I mean? Because typically, if you get a really good massage from somebody, that's your massage person. Like, how many different barbers do you have, right? When someone gets your line right, that's who you mess with until your shit come looking like mine one day, and you like, oh, I need a new person. You know what I mean? You don't really switch, unless I don't know. I always want deep tissue. I'm trying to work with him, but I'm having a hard time. I hate to quote headlines because I didn't read the entire article, but there was a headline on a story that said he was having the massage therapist come into the facility. Mm-hmm. And I heard maybe an NDAs were signed.
There's the NDAs that he had the massage therapist sign. It has been stated in one of the articles that the actual NDA, the terms there too, the Texans helped him put the NDA together, which is why Tony Busby is now saying that the Texans are complicit. They knew all along. But at the same time, that's circumstantial evidence, right?
Work with me.
Knows?
Work with me. I'm not rich and famous, right? I don't have.
Yeah, put a yet in there, man. Let's at least manifest.
Yeah,
you're not rich and famous.
With life, I'm rich with love, but I don't got that kind of bread, right? But work with me, man. What are you scared people are gonna say? And unless you have like a real bad birth defect or some weird thing that you don't want somebody to tease you on social media, what would you think about? What could you possibly think about in a massage session?
Well, he might like just giving him the benefit of the doubt. A massage therapist also is going to be keenly aware of any injuries that you might have.
That's
They'll
true.
be keenly aware of any physical
See,
limitations.
that's that law school right there. See, not everybody has that. That's that
See
law
how I
school
use
right
that
there.
every once in a while. I'll just go right in there. And so just by having the NDA,
to be honest with you, I'm satisfied. What you just said,
all
I'm
right,
satisfied.
cool. So NDA thing, let's say we don't know that
Don't
is
tell
what he was
nobody
trying to
my
hide.
shoulder was hurting extra. And that's why, to me, that's the thrown out of court. I just threw the whole case out of court based off of that. Congratulations.
We're closed. Case closed.
Case closed. You really, because that's an irrefutable excuse. Like, listen, you're gonna see if I have something sore, I don't need you going out there talking to sports bookies and everything like that. And the Texans are especially want to protect that. So that killed it for me. I was worried about them coming in. You would think that the that the Texans could hire on staff massage therapists that fit his need. Like, they're sourcing them as opposed to making you get your own.
Right.
Like, it's like when you go to the football facility, you don't have pizzas delivered, right? They provide food, right? Like, you don't order outside.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. We're gonna take care of that, right?
Yeah,
you would think so. And to be fair, in my experience, which it was happened to be in Cleveland, his new team, not his old team. But yeah, they had therapists come to the facility, and you get to choose between the therapists. Now, I don't know why he needed 66 therapists. I don't. So there's no way to defend that. But in this America, when we always talk about it's a free world, we can do what we want to do in this country. If the man wants 66 therapists in 17 months, having 66 therapists is not illegal. Now, subjecting them to some sexual misconduct, yeah, that's illegal, and immoral. But from a criminal law standpoint, it wasn't criminal whatever he did, or not criminal enough, not enough evidence to find him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And so now we're in a civil trial. And so from a civil trial, again, the standard of proof is a lot lower. But now with this whole court of public opinion, you've got these two courts sort of going to battle with one another. And for me, I don't just think that having a 66 therapist necessarily means that he did something wrong. And the 24 plaintiffs now, what you'll see in law with plaintiffs' attorneys, class actions, they're trying to get clients. And so they are reaching out actively, aggressively reaching out. It is not as though 24 women called this attorney, Tony Busby, and said, no, Deshaun Watson did something wrong to me. It was actually the exact reverse. Tony Busby is finding every single massage therapist that has ever worked on Deshaun Watson and calling them, trying to get them to be yet another plaintiff, because that makes the argument stronger. That makes the defendant feel as though he's under siege. That makes the defendant's attorney start talking about settlement. And in this space, in the civil law space, that's your goal. Your end goal is to get a settlement. So adding another defendant, the Houston Texans, adding two more plaintiffs, this is just the business of it. And so I want to be able to at least explain that, because I think far too often in barbershops across the country, we are all just saying, oh, he got to be guilty because he has 66 massage therapists. He's got to be guilty because he had them sign an NDA. He's got to be guilty because fill in the blank. The truth of the matter is there's a business element to these civil cases. And so from a business standpoint, it might make sense to settle, because regardless of how innocent you might be, how harmless the interactions may have been, and I'm saying hypothetically because I wasn't in any of those massage therapy sessions, but regardless of just how innocent it might have been, the court of public opinion is throwing this man under the doggone jail right now.
The thing is, I want to hear from somebody who this attorney reached out to that didn't want to say, that said, I don't want to do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why? Like,
I think those were the 17 women. So the 17 women that the defense attorney, what's his name, Rusty Hardin, those 17 women who came out in support of Deshaun Watson, and essentially just trying to discredit that he did anything illicit or out of bounds when it came to their massage session. Those 17 women.
But did any of them say that they spoke to? They say they spoke to Rusty?
No, yes, they said at the request of his attorney, we are making the statement. Yes.
No. So the 17 women that spoke on his behalf.
Did they talk to Tony Busby?
Did they talk to the guy who said?
I don't know that for certain.
That's what I want to hear. I want to hear about someone who got recruited that said, "No, I'm not interested in what you're saying." And what was his response? How hard was the sell? Was he promising a payday, or was he like, "Okay, fine," you know? Because if he merely reached out to the women and said, "Hey, listen, we're doing a class," I mean, I get things, I got my little Facebook check the other day because someone reached out and they said, "Hey, do you want to make some money? Get some Facebook." Okay, cool, whatever. But they didn't really sell me, right? It was I think my wife signed us up and we both got a little check. I haven't seen my check though. I think my wife may have got me, but anyway, at the end of the day, I don't. How hard was he selling? How hard did he push? I haven't heard that. I need to hear that first story about what's going on. And then the women who just kind of came forward now. What was you waiting on? Like, why are you coming out now? Because we starting to look kind of sexy. It's kind of look good. All right, let me. It looks like some money. I'm gonna say this though, because I try to have faith in society. I still believe something happened because 23 women to lie on you like that you treated properly. I always tell my son when you're dealing with women, if you always show them respect, no matter what happens at the end, if you're always nice to them, you don't embarrass them, you don't humiliate them, the chances of them really doing something dirty, because a woman could kill you. The chances of a woman doing something dirty to you is very minimal if you always treat them respectfully. Because I think a scorn, I don't know what the term is, but something about a woman scoring and being scared of them because she'll shoot your house or something, whatever. I think it was a little different than that.
Hot grits, all of that.
Hot grits, all that stuff. But I truly believe. And, we went to school and, as athletes, you hear about people getting called, accused of sexual assault and different things like that. Stories come to mind where we know that it wasn't true and do whatever. But if you break it all down, it always came down to someone disrespected the girl, embarrassed the girl in some way, and she used the recourse she thought she had to get back at you, right? And I feel like if you always treat them nice, it's hard to do it. So I have a hard time believing that he was respectful to 64 massage therapists and that you were able to get 24 of them, even after you treated them nice. I'm sure you paid them well and tipped them well and was if he doesn't have some sort of a sick perversion, the alternative would be that he treated them right and the 24 of them turned on him. Something about that just doesn't make sense.
Or couldn't there be a middle? Because the relationships that you're talking about are more intimate and personal. So I agree. Some of them are
as brief as a massage therapist, allegedly.
Say again?
Some of the encounters are as brief as massage therapist encounters, though, if you think about it.
Fair, but that transaction itself is different. I met you at a bar. There was no, I'm hiring you for a service. So I think the middle ground is he very well could have just hired them to perform a service. And there was no personal relationship such that the woman was scorned. It was the attorney who was opportunistic that reached out, and why not? Just like you just said with the Facebook chat. It was as simple as, I imagine for you and your wife, it was as simple as, why not? And when you are working in this space in civil cases, when these lawsuits and a plaintiff attorney reaches out, look, you ain't got to do nothing. You just got to put your name on there. Why not? Now there are people who are more extreme. There are some women who did the what was the not Brian Gumble. What were they on? Were they on Real Sports?
Yeah, Real Sports.
They were on Real Sports with Brian Gumble. Uh-huh. So obviously, they're among the 24 now plaintiffs. There are some women that really have expressed how their interaction with him and the alleged misconduct has ruined their life.
And the two on that show seemed zero credibility to me. They both thought their stories, both of them seemed shaky. Both the tears seemed forced or fake. Actually, tears with no liquid, you know what I mean? So if there's 24 or 5 of them,
the dry tears.
They're just trying to get some, trying to milk
a little Visine bottle,
pulling on those long fake eyelashes to see if they can get some water to come out. So both of those women to me seem like frauds. But I don't want to let it's like the Me Too movement injured women more than it did men, because at the end of the day, there's so many women that jumped on with some BS stories that made all the real victims look like shit, right? So now people don't have any sympathy for women being mistreated. Not say not everyone, but a lot of people out there are like, oh man, it's just a Me Too shit. No, don't do that. You know what I mean? Because there's some real stories. But blame the Me Too people that jumped on the bandwagon. So maybe he did some stuff with some massage therapists. I mean, there's only 3 of them he said he had sex with.
Consensual sexual activity. I don't
Right,
know.
but 3. That's a low number if you think with 64. Let's just
66.
be realistic. 66 massage therapists. You're a young, fit.
I mean, the
rich.
number really should be 0, though, Flo. If you're hiring someone to do a massage, you're not hiring them to do anything other than that. That number should be 0.
Fair. Let's be fair. Let's keep it 100. All right, we got a lot of people listening. Let's keep it 100, man. When you're an athlete, especially with a little bit of bread.
This is gonna be good. Hold on, I gotta get my popcorn for this. Go ahead.
You got popcorn. Don't compare this. Come on, man. I know people listening, but let's not compare the sexual experiences of athletes with the normal society, right? The normal person getting a massage therapist has a 0% chance of having sex with the massage therapist, and it doesn't even come up. They wouldn't even have the nerve. When you're a professional athlete, or you're even a college athlete, do whatever. Don't see. I can already tell you trying to back it away. Don't do this. I'm not gonna switch the topic.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead. Go all in, man. Go all in.
People,
I want to hear
this. The sex stories aren't the same.
I agree with you there.
As normal society. So the fact that it does not surprise you in any way, shape, or form when we was playing ball and you think about guys on the team, if somebody told you that they got a massage and that they had sex with a therapist, you wouldn't be surprised. If you go to your office right now and someone in your office told you, I had a massage therapist, I had sex with him, you'd be like, whoa, shit. Because normal people have different experiences and different access. But when you're a professional athlete and you got groupies, I mean, think about people that probably just people at the hotel, the damn maid service walking in there was probably in there to sit there, look, all right, this is a pro dude, this is a famous guy. I'm going to throw myself at him. You know what I mean? So I don't want to minimize massage therapists, but they're not for I would say most people handle their job professionally, but there's probably 2 or 3 people who are like, oh my God, I get a chance to massage.
Right. I get that.
Deshaun Watson, he's rich, millionaire, good looking guy, whatever. And if he likes me,
I
like
all
him.
the way away from you. I'll give you that.
So let's not demonize him because he had sex with a couple of women that look good, that thought he looked good too. That's not even a high number. 3 of them out of 60 something for a pro athlete. So that's the way I look at it. Now,
all 3 of those encounters have I think from both parties, obviously Deshaun Watson, but I think the women, I think they've all said that it was consensual.
Yeah.
But he
and
did
I think
have
if you
to
go, and I
disclose
think if you go to massage therapists in general, and you go to massage therapist and say, all right, all your years, have you ever wanted to have sex with the person that you were massaging? I guarantee someone will be like, yep, I thought so-and-so, male or female, was attractive. And what would you have done if they wanted to have sex? I don't know, I guess. You know what I mean? Everybody says they don't mix sex with work, but I'm married to somebody who I met at work. She probably has some hard, fast rules about not dating at work. 20 years later, in 5 days, it'll be 20 years marriage. She probably has some hard and fast rules about not messing with people at work. So, come on. So let's not act ridiculous that he shouldn't have ever had sex with anybody who's like, yeah, he could have. But I still back up and say 25 people. I believe something's there. There's something to it. 4 or 5.
Nah, 24. He's at 24. Don't add 1 to him. He got enough numbers.
We just got another 2 or 3. It
went from 22 to 24. He's got 24 women who say that he did something sexually.
It's too many.
Aggressive.
Same with Bill Cosby. It was too many. It was too many for me. Too many people. You can't find 24 people that said that Bobby Brown acted inappropriately with them sexually. You can't find 24.
The other Bobby Brown, maybe not this one.
Not Brainerd. Not
me. Not B. Bobby Brown.
Not the one that I know. You can't find 25. I do it. I dare you. I don't think you're going to find it.
Just for everyone listening, I'm not daring y'all to do that. Find something else to do.
Go out there and try to find 25 women to say Reggie Farima did some trifling to him. You're not going to find that. You might find a couple angry people here and there that try to make some story half cocked, but not 25 is a lot.
But to your same point, though, you just said that when it came to the experience and the expectations when it with a massage therapist.
That's why I said 3 isn't bad.
But I'm saying, you said the lifestyle that professional athletes have means that their sexual experience sometimes can be different. The same thing is true with what you just invited people to do. You can't find 25 women to say something about Reggie Farima. True,
I'm a famous athlete that's young and
you are a famous athlete,
so my shit should be different too.
Yes, you are a famous athlete,
regular as shit.
But at this point, the most famous athlete that wears the name Reggie Farima is not you.
Don't do that.
It's not. I'm just saying.
Don't pass my torch in front of me. But pass my torch. Hey, y'all hussies, y'all stay away from my boy. Okay, it's a good boy, God-fearing.
But you know what I'm saying, man.
I know
people, it's like, people.
I want to cut for him, man. I want to cut for Deshaun so bad because of what I know. But 24 is too many. It's too many for me. It's too many.
All right, we shall see, man. In this episode of the Pride and Joy, and we're calling it Pride and Joy because, I've been hurting listening to this story all week because that's my quarterback. It's my Pride and Joy, baby.
It was. Hey, that's
when we signed Deshaun, I was like,
they still got touchdown maker, Baker.
Hey, man, Baker looking better. Like, Baker, just sit over there. Don't you get a single massage. I'm talking about zero. We'll just play with
They say he already got some massages in Cleveland, though. Come on, man.
Deshaun did?
I think I heard he got a couple.
If somebody said the word massage to me, I want to fight at this point.
Hey, the only dude massages Deshaun should be a dude. At this point, just get over your insecurities and let a big, strong dude, work your muscles out of something in front of you.
Then we're gonna hear other rumors, man. It's lose. Just don't get a massage, bro. Just forget it.
Be tight.
Yeah, don't worry about it, man. Learn to stretch better. Do yoga on your own.
Give me the massage chairs. I don't know.
Well, while we talk about the plaintiffs that are gonna get paid in this particular story, on the Pride and Joy episode. The plaintiffs aren't the only one getting paid. There's some NFL players that are getting paid this week. We celebrate some people getting paid. So we're going to hop into that. And before we do, man, like we ask every week, humbly, please like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anybody that you know. And please subscribe to both our YouTube channel and to our podcast. This week's episode is entitled Pride and Joy. We started off talking about the NBA Finals. We moved into Deshaun Watson. Now we're going to transition into a few other sports stories from this week, some hot sports business and entertainment. We're going to do a rough burger and a raw. Please, it won't cost you anything. Please like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, please subscribe. The players that are getting paid this week, because the plaintiffs, we don't know. To be determined when it comes to this Deshaun Watson file and those lawsuits. But there are no questions around the zeros that some players got added to their name this week. We'll start with Hunter Renfrow, who I like. I thought was a great possession receiver. But Hunter Renfrow just extended for 2 years, $32 million. He's got $21 million guaranteed. Hunter Renfrow is a possession receiver who knows how to find the spot in zone, tough to tackle, has good hands, but $21 million guaranteed.
If Hunter Renfrow sat by you on the bus, you would never ask this dude, does he play football?
You wouldn't even know. You
get mad. Do my taxes? Can you do my taxes? you know about easy for him, huh? Yeah, I don't know. Hey, hats off to him. But you know what, though? The dude is a technician when it comes to route running. He's not Cooper Kupp. He's not going to get you anything real big. Maybe that's what they just need, possessions. I'm not hating on nobody. I want receivers to get paid. But, I mean, Hunter Renfrow is what is he? Was he Clemson?
Clemson,
yeah. I don't know. Pedigree, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is with him. Did he play with Deshaun Watson?
He probably did play with Deshaun. Maybe like a year. I mean, Hunter Renfrow's younger than Deshaun.
They're doing a collective to help Deshaun out with his books. They filter money.
I'm gonna need some of that back. I'm gonna get that 21 mil guaranteed. I'm gonna need some back. But he's a poor man's Edelman.
Edelman, yeah, I would say Edelman over. Yeah, I'd say Edelman. That's a good one. Maybe not even poor.
Guaranteed.
Over how many years?
The extension itself is 2 years. I think through 2024. 2 years, 32 million on the extension, but 21 million of that is guaranteed. So no matter what, Hunter Renfrow will get $21 million to catch a football over that 2 year span.
Hey man, let's get this.
Yeah. God bless America.
Come on, man. Only in America.
Out there,
you know how many times? That's why I like Hunter Renfrow. You know how many times people say he good, but he's not gonna make it to the next level. He's good, but he's never gonna play at Clemson. He good, but he's not gonna stick in the league. He good, but he'll never start. He'll good, but they never gonna pay them. Damn.
Check.
And when he put on a jacket on shit, he gonna end up putting on one of the jackets and be like, "I'm not
a Hall of Famer at one point." Who knows? At this point, Hunter Renfrow can do anything, man. But God bless America.
Office.
Hey, look, and he's not the only. What at one point was a name you would have never, ever, ever uttered. He's not the only white American-born receiver that got paid. Because you mentioned somebody else. You said Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp got paid too.
Cooper Kupp is that dude.
$80 million.
Cooper Kupp is that dude.
The highest amount of guaranteed money ever by a wide receiver.
But only the 6 highest paid guys. So I do like the guaranteed money part. That's always better. But, he's still only 6 highest, which I think is somewhat. He's a baller, though. He's. What about his game? Where are his shortcomings, Cooper Kupp?
Cooper Kupp doesn't have any shortcomings. He's not as big as some of the
He's
more
so damn open all the
receivers.
time, it doesn't matter. He can body catch.
Some would say, because you look at the numbers that like why is his name escaping me? That's bad. Played for the Patriots, played for the Dolphins, white guy.
Oh, Wes Welker.
Some people claim that Wes Welker was a system guy. I've heard people claim that Cooper Kupp is benefiting from the offensive system that he plays in.
And that system paid him. It wasn't like it would scare me more if the Bears paid him that money, right? Because the Bears fuck around and now he can't do none of that shit. But he got paid. He does a good job. They asked him to do it. You look at all these receivers that did well with the Patriots, and they all, speaking of Welker and all this, they leave and they never did. One of the guys is a Notre Dame guy, Givens. I don't know him. I'm not trying to hate on him, but he did great with the Patriots. You thought he might be a Hall of Fame guy, and then after that, he kind of fizzled out and did whatever. But if you're going to pay him to do the job that you watched him do. Yeah. You just won a Super Bowl with him.
Nah, Cooper Kupp earned his money. And you look at his story, I think he played at Eastern Washington. But you look at his story and how he overcame a lot of doubt, and opportunities weren't abound when it came to Cooper Kupp. So I cheer for him. You hear about the story of he and his wife. His wife was the only one that believed in him and told him to keep on going. So shout out to Cooper Kupp, man. But the hot 3-year, $80 million.
Damn massage parlors.
Stay out the massage parlors, bro. I like this comment. One of our live audience members, Cornelius Galt, says, I never ever heard of Hunter. 21 million to catch in a league where they can't even hit you hard or barely sneeze on you. Facts. He's getting paid to not get hit.
Hey, Cornelius, as a dad of a receiver, I say, why don't you go out there? They probably got a pro day in your town someplace. If it's that easy, go and get you 21 mil.
Go get you 21 mil.
If I could run and get open, I'll try to go back for 21 M's.
21 M's. But that was only outdone by Cooper Kupp, another white American-born receiver. So the white receiver is back, man.
Stop saying you can't do it if you're a wide receiver. You're not a press, man. You can do it. You don't even have to look good. Look at Hunter Renfrow. You ain't got to look good, man.
Hunter Renfrow looks like an insurance agent for sure. He looks like he's going to sell you some State Farm.
For Eagle Man. No, it's like one of the discount guys.
Justin Edelman had the whole heartthrob thing going, and so we expected him to benefit from.
Wes Welker was yoked up.
Not Hunter Renfrow. Hunter
Cup.
Renfro's going to sell
Is
you
Cooper
some
Cup yoked
insurance.
up? I don't know what Cooper Cup's build is like.
Cooper Kupp is a bigger than Hunter Renfro. He's more physical.
Hunter Renfro just looks bad. He looked like he can't take a hit either. So you are right. He is benefiting from no getting hit in the league. But you know what? Tell that to his accountant because he doesn't have time to talk to you. He doesn't have time to talk to you.
Yeah, I like that. We
thoughts.
got a Steve Largent mention on the show. That's how you know the Ball Hog Sports Talk is moving in the right direction, baby. Steve Largent was a cold white boy, though, man. My man Cornelius Goss says Steve Largent can do it. Any white guy can. But there's been Steve Largent. Steve Largent wore a duck helmet. He wore the helmet like a punter. If you gotta go that far back to find an elite white,
he took mouth shots though. Don't talk about Steve Largent. He took mouth shots.
No,
back in those days,
Largent,
you earned your stuff. You earned your stripes.
No, he did. No, Steve Largent got his head knocked off completely.
Yeah.
One point they glued it back on for the second half. But yes,
yeah, he's fine. What's up?
5'10",
185 Renfro, and I don't believe that. I don't believe he's 185.
Renfro.
They said 5'10", 185. I don't believe he's 185.
Yeah, that's about right. 5'10", 185. But that's not, okay. 5'10", 185 is your insurance broker.
About right. That's about what he weighs.
Yeah, that's not, there's nothing imposing about that. 5'10", 185 sits next to you on a plane. You're like, man, what you selling life insurance? You're not thinking he just got paid.
That's why he get open. That's why he's always open. Nobody wants to take him seriously. This $21 million might get him covered. Hold on, who is this cat with 21 M's? You, man. Let me see what you got.
Not you. You didn't just get paid $21 million. On this episode of Pride and Joy, we got to talk about it because all of those teams show that those players are indeed their pride and joy. They paid them handsomely because they are their pride and joy. Remember, the definition of pride and joy is someone or something that makes someone very proud and happy. These teams have been made very proud and happy, so much so that they have awarded them handsomely with a nice contract. And the final players getting paid, example, for this week is my man Aaron Donald. I saved the defensive lineman for you. Aaron Donald.
Highest paid non-quarterback, non-massage parlor having ass dude in the league. What I love about it, he's like, I'm going to retire. Nah, I'm going to stick around. But I need $64 million. Guarantee 65.
Okay, you
I'm sorry, I'm tipping the dealer, man. I keep tipping the dealer. 65 guarantee. And then if I want to retire, cool. But if not, I'm coming back for 21 at my discretion. Guaranteed if I want it. My man, go tackle that quarterback. Go do you. And I like him too because he's an undersized guy. Yeah. He's just a bull. He does what we got to go do. But go make this money, man.
We had his father-in-law on the show at one point, Ray Sherman, who is
that's his father-in-law.
That's his father-in-law.
Father's Day gift mean at his house.
Yeah.
I bet he's like, I don't need to coach no more, man. My father-in-law is straight. Wait on these grandkids, take care of them.
Straight up. His father-in-law is gonna be looking for something nice this Father's Day coming up.
Yeah.
You just got that paid. 3-year, $95 million, $65 million guaranteed. But if there's anyone, you hear some of them numbers, like with to be honest, with Hunter Renfro and even with Cooper Kupp, not that I question whether or not they earned it, because with Cooper Kupp, he absolutely earned it. But to me, he's a system guy benefiting from a great system, great wide receiver, but how much of a difference can you make at receiver? Everything has to go right. The play call has to go right. The blocking has to go right. The quarterback's got to make the right read, make a nice throw, and you got to beat the defensive back. Only so much impact you can have on the game at wide receiver. Why it's the best position known to mankind in any sport as a former wide receiver. No, I ain't no former wide. I'm still a wide receiver. As a wide receiver, that's my opinion. I also got to admit that your impact on the game is going to be limited to all of the factors necessary for you to get in position to succeed. Mm-hmm. So when I look at Hunter Renfro, Cooper Kupp, that all right, good, they got paid. But when Aaron Donald, his impact on the game, it feels as though whatever he would have got paid, he earned it. Whatever they can afford to pay that man, with the impact that he has on the game, the way that he changes the dynamic of an offense, an entire offense has to scheme against this man, he earned it. Baddest defensive lineman that I've seen in a long time. There's been some great ones. But him being undersized has only made him even more of a problem because he has a bigger chip on his shoulder. Aaron Donald, $65 million guaranteed, 3 years, $95 million. he got paid. And I say he got paid what he absolutely deserved. Right? I mean, no one can stop the man.
Sometimes too, there's a bit of a back pay situation, and I'm for that. When they deliver a Super Bowl, the guys, the glue of your team, he's the heart and soul of your team, whatever. I believe in a little back pay. You know what I mean? Maybe he's not, his best years might be behind him, maybe not. You never know. Maybe get rejuvenated, boy. You know how many massages you can get for $60 million? Oh my God.
Hey.
You know how many massages? Now, can he sue these people because of the NDA? I just thought about that.
I don't think he can.
Can you sue? Hey, I sue me. I sue
nor
you
would he want to. Deshaun Watson needs this to go away. The more
needs to go away.
More
maybe Aaron and give him some Renfro, Aaron. They put a little kitty together.
They're gonna do a little collection.
Hey, listen, I'm not trying to make light of abuse though, ladies out there. I just talk a lot of shit. So excuse me if I offended y'all.
Well, that's what we do. We offend people. In this episode of Pride and Joy, these teams, whether it be the Rams or the Raiders, they've shown that these players are Pride and Joy and they paid them the right way. Let's move on because we talk about the professionals that got paid. There's also, do we still call college players amateurs? Are they amateurs?
Semi-pro.
Semi-pro? We'll call them. So the semi-pro level, in the college level, some people got paid as well. And the pride and joy of Buckeye Nation. You know who he is, that quarterback that is everyone's favorite to win the Heisman this year, none other than C.J. Stroud. This brother signed an NIL deal that would have put him in a Bentley truck. And with this particular dealership, they sell high-end cars, obviously. He was going to do the Bentley truck. And I think he got it. It was coming off the lot, and it was all good. And he decided, because the Bentley truck was only $150,000 price tag, he decided to move up to the $200,000 price tag, and he took the Mercedes G-Wagon instead. And he referred to Chris Olave and some other former Ohio State players that have been drafted and not drafted, but Olave has been drafted already. So recent draft picks and their car choices as his influence to have his representative reach out to this dealership and see if they could do an NIL deal. Now, bear with me here. But it feels a lot like, and I talked about this, I said that paying players at such a young age, when they have no idea how to build wealth, is only going to create a bigger problem in the end, because it's going to move the players further away from the education aspects of being a student athlete. I said that, and everyone looked at me like I was an old, bitter man who, shut up. But if I'm looking for an NIL deal, if I'm going to reach out to someone for an NIL deal, and I'm thinking long term, who cares what I'm driving on campus?
What you mean?
It pales in comparison to doing an NIL deal when you're getting the money that you can then invest and create wealth.
The car should be easy. The car thing should be easy. He doesn't even get to keep the car.
Doesn't get to keep the car.
He just gets to he depreciates it a little bit, keeps a couple miles. They're going to give him one that's used. And
everyone is reading about this dealership. So who won?
And he's going to be around, check it out. They all look. You're right. He's going to take pictures with it. Every couple months, they're going to show him in another one. He's going to take new pictures. It's fantastic. That's what, you know what? When we get off the show today, I'm going to start calling dealerships. I'm going to start talking to my son needs a whip. What can we do? Where do I start?
But am I feeling am I just getting cranky, man? Am I old? Because I just feel as though I'm gonna say this, and then we're gonna make it more. We're gonna get back to the lighthearted talk. I just feel as though like there's something there that has been there and has been the root of why so many players go broke within 2 years of being done in the NFL, in the NBA. There's something there in terms of our inability to understand true financial literacy that is only going to get worse if now the person on the other end of that call, the person on the other end of that deal, the person on the other end of what should be capitalism, both people capitalizing, is that much younger, with less experience, with even more handlers and hanger-ons because they haven't been able to learn from life and get rid of certain people. I just think it's going to get worse. And I'm looking at it just like,
But
this is what I was thinking when I was thinking players getting paid, taking advantage of that limited opportunity and trying to build something, that a nest egg that you could live off for the rest of your life. I wasn't thinking a G-Wagon.
But should you? I mean, the expectation of building a nest egg you live the rest of your life for anybody who's under 40 years old is unrealistic if you think about it, right? But to get a great jump start is good. But when you start thinking about the transition people get in the NFL and you give them some money and all of a sudden they don't have any structure around them because they're no longer in school, they don't have a coach, they don't have classes to go to, all the different things like that, and that's when they flop. That's when you get the Jamarcus Russell type people.
Yeah.
They get whatever. Maybe there's something to be said about having a soft launching pad where you leave, you're 18, you come out of the house, you go to a place, you have a coach that has control over you still. You still have to go to class. You still are someone under your parents.
Still no structure though. Flo.
Hold on. And then you give them a little bit. Some of these dudes are getting a lot. We'll talk about some of their lots in a minute. But some of these dudes are getting a little taste of what it's going to be like at that next level. Maybe to keep more focused, and maybe we're going to get some bad stories, and that's going to be what's going to be all over the news. But maybe it's going to give people some different motivation to kind of grind and say, man, I do like having cars like this. I do want to do this. I do want to make it to the league. And I do have to realize I still had to get to class. I still had to, some people not going to have to go. But you still have to juggle some things so that when you go and you get that real money in your hand, you've kind of tasted it. You've kind of seen it. You know what I mean? You kind of have a soft introduction into that world. So they're going to, when you get rich, it's your first time, especially when it's athlete money. It's your first. Whenever you get it, you're young. Whether you're 18 or 22, whenever you get it, it was the first time getting money. Whenever you get it, it's going to be that. It's going to be the first. It's going to have all the temptations, all the different things there. So I don't know what the difference really is between 18 and 22, except for the fact you're not going to have guidance.
Either one of those situations, 18 or 22, at this point, in both situations, they don't have guidance. Because the structure that you're talking about on a college campus, when it comes to NIL deals, when it comes to trying to make sure that these young players, young athletes, have a system and support around them to get the right deals and take advantage of what their market value would be at that moment, the NCAA and the institutions have run far away from being a part of that. Now, I know some schools have these departments that are helping try to negotiate the deals, but the truth of the matter is that CJ Stroud has outgrown even that department because he is the odds-on favorite to win the Heisman, because he is a household name, because he is considered from an NIL deal probably one of the most valuable NIL opportunities out there. He's outgrown even the department at Ohio State. But I would argue that even at 18, under the circumstances, because the NCAA punted and ran away from handling what was a tough transition and changing into the new frontier of NIL, because the institutions, under the guidance and leadership, or lack thereof, of the NCAA, have largely tried to stay out of the weeds when it comes to getting the right deals and then structuring them such that you can protect an 18-year-old from being what? An 18-year-old. Being young and dumb and not having any experience, you got to protect him from. We do it in every other situation. That's why we don't let an 18-year-old drink when he gets to campus. That's why we have study hall. That's why we have an academic counselor, because we understand that they're 18 and their decision-making isn't the same as a 45-year-old that is employed by the university in charge of helping that particular student. But now when it comes to money, or in this case, use of a car, this is where we're going to leave them to their own vices and good luck. To me, it just seems, though, it's look, if Notre Dame is listening, y'all call me and I got a whole bunch of ideas. I try to build an entire curriculum for it prior to NIL being full steam and legalized. You got to start like those players on that campus. For in this case, it's Ohio State. The one that I envisioned was at Notre Dame. For you, it's at Northwestern. Whatever campus it might be, your window is very short. And so the institution, who better than a college institution that has been on the roller coaster of the markets and the economy as they've preserved, grown several times over their endowment and figured out how to invest that. Who better than an institution to be an air quote partner in making sure that these players take advantage of their opportunities? But that would mean that you really care, right, about stopping what has been not just a trend, it's just been a way of sport that, you go, you make the money, you make a whole bunch of it, you spend it, you lose it. And then, because you didn't a lot of times get the degree, you're just another cautionary tale when it's all said and done, as opposed to us really helping these players take full advantage of what is going to be a very short window. I guarantee you, CJ Stroud, if for some strange reason it doesn't work out and you don't win the Heisman, if for some strange reason, Ohio State brings in the next phenom and you don't make a great NFL career out of your football career, if for some reason those things happen, you driving this Bentley truck or you decide to go with the G-Wagon will have no value to you in 5 years. It just won't. It just won't. And I would argue that it has no value now, but being young.
So you say don't give it to them, like, because of that?
No, take full advantage. Whoever the representative is that called that dealership and got that deal, God bless them. But that same representative, right, they're charged with finding NIL deals. I think when it comes to the campus, you should be charged with building our leaders for tomorrow and making sure that they understand that the car deal, by all means, go after it. But the NIL deals that you should be looking for are the ones that are going to give you some sort of cash windfall, and you should be structuring them in a way that you don't necessarily need $2 million to live off of right now. You should be structuring them in a way to protect you from the dangers and the risks of football that a lot of times end in your career being cut short. So that's how you should be structuring your deal. You should be playing chess, not checkers. My humble opinion.
I think that I'll agree with this. As his representative should be taking full advantage of his name to get him wealth, to get him long-term money. Yes, but the ease of the car, I don't think they're mutually exclusive, right? Go out and get him the car and see if you can go get the guy some money. At the end of the day, like I said, when I get off this phone call, I'm gonna call the local Kia dealership and see if I can't get my son a Kia. He might not be quite worth a G-Wagon yet, but I'll get him, a Kia. But I want to get him some cash in his pocket, whatever. But hell, it's such an easy perk to give somebody. They give the coaches cars, do whatever. And I think we're focusing on it too much and starting to say, okay, what's next? What's next? But look, they open up the floodgates, and people like that. He makes a lot of money for Ohio State, right? He makes a lot of money. That car dealership is going to make a lot of money. They're going to get a lot of press off of this. So, I mean, what's wrong with him?
The same coach that you're talking about gets that mega deal and drives that car. The first service provider, one of the first service providers that coach will contact is a financial advisor.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So my point is that at 18, you don't know that. We talked about the potential risk of some of these players getting a check and not even knowing that, or getting paid a certain way as an independent contractor and not even knowing the tax implications around it, right? Because, and here's where I say the NCAA failed miserably. Here's why I say the institutions, they should say to heck with the NCAA. And while they do have some NIL departments at some of these schools, I think understanding that our responsibility is to teach these young people what they don't know when it comes to financial literacy. And even when structuring the deals, like, you don't need look at what happened in the Pell Grant. Remember Pell Grant Day at Notre Dame? Cats would get that check and go right to University Mall and go right to, what was it, Dillard's? I don't remember what the
Spiece. They used to go to Spiece too and get the
go get a whole bunch of polos. Now that's supposed to be money. Pell Grant money is supposed to be for you, your survival mechanisms when you're on campus to afford certain things because you can't get paid. And we was at the University Park Mall buying polos. Now, there's levels to it, but at 18, we thought that was what it was. We wanted to look fresh in some polos. there's institutions at these respective campuses that have endowments that have some of the most sophisticated investors in all of finance, some of the most sophisticated investment strategies that you can imagine. Quantitative outputs that will make you scratch your head like, oh, okay, this is why we're doing this. And then on that same campus, there are going to be people that get these NIL deals. They get a check and spend it on the same day. 18, 19-year-old kids. And to me, that's criminal. This is where I think NIL failed, is because it didn't include the institutions, and it didn't think that a problem that has manifested itself on the professional level forever. 80-something% of the NFL goes broke within 5 years. 77% of the NBA goes broke within 5 years. Like, how do we not think this would be a problem on the collegiate level? Let's help these kids.
I think where it comes back to this is they're not going to be mandatory. And one of our loyal followers, Tom Herzog, just had a comment on there. If you want to put it back, I don't know if you can. He agrees that there should be mandatory financial literacy programs going on these programs. But the thing is, this is where it shows the give a shit factor about the colleges, right? Because no one's telling them that they have to do it. Do they care, right? Does the school care enough? Because at the end of the day, the schools are happy that the money is coming out of a third party and not coming out their pockets, right? The schools have the opportunity to give money for good grades, and only a handful of schools have participated so far. A few more are going to do it this year, but they're just happy that the money is coming from somewhere else. And honestly, it just kind of exposes they don't really give a damn if their dudes are going to end up broke or that. It's not their problem. The schools that step up and start doing these programs for these kids and forcing these kids to get the NIL deals to do this, have these programs together, are going to be the ones that show up. The schools, they're out there. Tom Carter is a guy that I had on the Big Flow show. He's worked for the NFLPA for a number of years, vetting out agents. Was a first-round draft choice by the Washington Commanders. I want to say football team. Washington Commanders back in the late 90s. He's going out and he's vetting these NIL guys, right? He's knocking on doors for colleges so he can vet the people coming up with these NIL deals and make sure the kids don't get ripped off. I don't know this for a fact, but I guarantee you it's a bit of an uphill battle, right, with some of these schools because they don't care. They don't care what happens. You can get ripped off and do whatever. I just want you to win football games, and some want you to graduate so they can say you graduated. But there's very few schools out there that really care about that. So I do think that we should have some more sort of mandatory service, but unless the NCAA says that they're going to do it, and the NCAA really doesn't care, they're not going to do it. People aren't going to do it, So I think it's us as parents, and hopefully the people who are getting that money have parents that are going to be able to step up and still kind of have some sort of control and aren't looking at this as a payday for themselves. They'll be able to do it. But I refuse to look at this as a negative because there's a bunch of pitfalls when it comes to money. You win lotto, you can go broke, but I sure want to win lotto. You go to NFL, chances are you're going to be broke, but I sure wanted to go to the league, because at the end of the day, it doesn't have to happen. That's up to you. You can make a decision for things to be different.
It is up to you, Flo, and we'll move on. But it is up to you as a recipient of that deal, recipient of that monetary gain. It's up to you. But let's also acknowledge that at 18, 19, 20 years old, you just don't make great decisions. Not because you're a bad human, it's just because you don't have the experience. And we understand that in almost every other regard. That's why when we got to Notre Dame, we had an academic advisor. That's why they forced us to go to study hall.
Yeah. But why did they do that?
There were coaches that stood outside the Barlow Hall to make sure we were going to classes because they acknowledged that at 18, 19, 20 years old, you don't make great decisions with certain freedoms.
But peel that onion back. Why did they really do that? You're saying we
could stay eligible to play.
So you could play so you could be there to play on Saturday. That's why they did it. It's not because they cared about Bobby Brown's future and that they wanted you to become some big professional. Not because they cared about that. And I'm not going to – it's this big boy stuff now. We're talking millions of dollars. Should they care? In my opinion, they should care. But realistically, maybe not. They led you to water, see if you could drink. They forced your head under there just to keep you hydrated enough that you could carry that pack to the next watering hole. And that's most of these schools do. They're going to keep you eligible. You know what? I said a long time ago, you want the NCAA graduation rates to go up? Start penalizing the schools. And that's what they did. If you have too many people that don't graduate or whatever, they start taking scholarships away from you. Now, what are they doing? The graduation rates magically have fucking gone up, right? Because now they care. That's all the school cares about. They don't care about the future of it. They're letting you come in here and entertain their alumni so that they can get donations for new science buildings or whatever. The true care about the individual student that play, they're just plug and play. Can you throw something in here? And then there's a couple guys that are really going to be long-term benefit for the college that are going to make smiley faces and everything, come back and kiss babies. And those guys are going to act like they care and do some other honoring. But at the end of the day, this is all big business. But this is America. This is where we live in. We can't complain or cry about it. Every kid now, NIL has an opportunity to make money. And if you mess that money up, you squander it. I think you should go at, if the old players want to come back and somebody can motivate it and try to find some sort of services. We have like Notre Dame, for example, we have a bunch of people who are financial advisors that are ex-players. If we really care, if we're passionate as you and I sound today, if the rest of us are passionate like that, maybe we go back and we try to go have a conversation and try to talk to these people. I bet you would have a hard time getting on the docket, though. I bet you have a hard time getting on the getting in front of somebody, even for free. Malcolm Johnson, he goes back to the schools all the time, and I don't want to get overly negative about the school to provide assistance to people that want to get into real estate investing. He's having a very hard time getting anybody in the room. So we can put the resources together, but unless you make them some sort of a mandatory thing, which they're not likely to do, people don't care. And then when you went to NFL, they had those things available to you in the NFL. Did you go to the meetings?
I did.
Who was in there with you? The other
not a lot of people.
The other free agents, 7th-round draft picks.
Yes, and I'll go even further. That there's a business plan that I wrote while I was there. I talked about investing in real estate with people in the locker room. They looked at me like I had 8 heads. There was an election. The 2000 election happened while I was playing for the Cleveland Browns. That's probably the most controversial presidential election that we ever had. Trying to have a conversation about the presidential election and the hanging chads in a doggone NFL locker room. It was like I was a Martian. So, but that to me, that experience says even more so that whether it be former players, whether it be the institution itself, all interested stakeholders when it comes to this whole business of college football have to help players and protect them against themselves, because that's where a lot of it is heading, in the sense that if more of your college experience, because of NIL, is focused on getting NIL opportunities, because after my man CJ Stroud gets this G-Wagon, the responsibilities related with that, that's not monetary, but that perk, that benefit, he's got to now make appearances. He's got to post. He's got to do things, right? It's taking more and more away from the educational part of being a student athlete. Mm-hmm. So what has already been a bad situation when I go in the NFL locker room, and it's very tough to have an intellectual conversation because everyone's like, man, I just want this money, dog. Knowing that a lot of them are going to go broke, you add NIL to that, and I think you're only making a bad situation drastically worse, because young people in college are going to move further away from the education aspects of the student athlete title.
If you don't have the guidance at your house, and I'll just go back to this, if you don't have the guidance at home, very few are going to do it from within. But let's not act like we overstate the fact that they're 18 young and they don't know. Look, fat people know that they eat bad food and they become fat, right? They
can say they don't know. Flo. Not with money. Money is the one thing.
No, but I'm saying when you're 18 years old, I mean, my son isn't a genius with money by any stretch. I don't want to give too much credit, but he realizes, okay, I should think of some way to save it. He may not have the best thing, but I should seek some guidance and do whatever. I don't want to give him
two college educated parents who.
But I'm just saying, like, we don't have complete control over his money. Like, he can go spend all of the money, every dollar in his account right now. He can go spend it if he wanted to.
He would still be fine, because again, he has 2 college educated parents with great careers.
At the end of the day, he knows, and everyone else on his team knows better than to sit there and spend this loot and do whatever, that they should probably try to hold on to. Everyone's heard it enough. We talk about it on our podcast, other podcasts. Everyone around them talking about save your money, do good with your money. And the people that don't do it, they just don't give a damn at the time. Now, maybe it's because they're 18 years old or do whatever. They're just like, whatever. But let's think, if you don't have a motivation for yourself to seek out the knowledge, to do something with the money, if you don't have family at home that's going to come after you and tell you that this is the wrong thing to do that you're going to listen to. My son's 18 years old right now. I can't tell him to do anything, really. I can't even look at his grades. He has to show me his grades. He has to text me a picture of, which I still think is stupid. If a kid's in school, your parents should still be the parents. That's a whole nother show. But at the end of the day, he gets a medical doctor thing. They can't even tell me what's wrong with him unless he tells them he can tell me. He got to sign up. He's grown. He can do whatever the hell he wants to do other than, drink alcohol, do whatever. He can do whatever he wants. If I didn't and my wife and I didn't build a bond with him to do something, to feel like he's accountable to us and be able to answer questions and he doesn't want to look bad and all those type of things. If we didn't do all that stuff for the past 18 years, it's going to stop. So even though I do think the school should give a literacy program and do whatever, okay. Even somebody goes through, they know better. Again, fat people, including myself, know how to eat right, but I'm still fat. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to have the motivation to want to do it.
I get it, man. But it's just, to me, and we'll move on from here. I get it. And there's self-accountability. There's freedom involved in it. All of that is true. But when you're talking about someone that young, that a parent, a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle, a big brother, big sister has entrusted you, institution X, whatever that institution's name is. I've put my child in your care. And because they're in your care, now they have these opportunities financially. We know that most kids aren't thinking of year plus 20. So let's just structure it away on campuses that are notorious for doing that with their endowments. Let's structure their income in a way so even in the worst case scenario, they have this money.
So
in 20 years from now, they've got this money. No matter what they do, they've got it.
Okay, but the problem is what you're saying is the money isn't coming from now these collectives, right? These schools start out collective. Notre Dame has a collective. I believe even Northwestern is starting to put together a collective. Those type of things could have some sort of a control on how they pay you the money, right? And structuring it up from a collective standpoint, right? But a guy like CJ Stroud getting some money from a car dealership, some money from a thing, there's no governing body to structure a marketing deal. You're getting paid for.
No, but when the institutions are coming up with these NIL departments, all they're doing is creating best practices. So as an institution, I'm, XYZ University, and I have an NIL department. I'm now engaged with my students, and I'm telling them, here's how we suggest that you structure all your deals.
Yeah.
We've created this vehicle where
you can suggest it.
Right. You've created this vehicle where you get paid in this way, put the money in this particular investment strategy. So or look, invest alongside the damn endowment.
Yeah.
Like, it ain't got to be overcomplicated.
Yeah.
We're going to allow you to invest in the endowment. How about that? Right? Or it doesn't have to be overcomplicated, but it does have to start with you care. And the challenge, and I get it, like, everyone's free to do what they want to do with their money, Big Flo. But the difference between your kids and my kids and some of the kids that I'm thinking of when I'm thinking how big this problem is going to be, your kids and my kids have mom and dad around, two college educated people with a great, career. And if worse comes to worse, just move back home and we'll figure it out. Not everybody has that reality. And we went to school with a lot of people that did not have that reality. Throughout this recruiting process, I'm sure you've met a lot of young men who don't have that reality. And you don't get an automatic second chance when your resources are severely different than our kids' resources. And that's all I'm saying, is that the institution is in a prime position to do something about what has become a terrible pandemic when it comes to athletes and just squandering money, squandering opportunity.
Let's
and then
not say money and pandemic in the same breath. Let's not say pandemic and money. Because at the end of the day, we begged for years. We, being the sports fan world expert, we begged for years for these kids to stop being exploited and get some more than they're getting. Now that they're getting it, we're focusing on the negative, and now
not everyone is.
But you don't stand alone. I've seen a lot of people say, "Oh, we can't get these guys the money." I'm like, you're right. It's going to be some craziness out there, but you know what? They're getting it's what we asked for. They're getting some money. They can get paid now. They're not going to be exploited for their likeness. They're going to get some different deals, and there's been some really good ones. I mean, you look at at BYU, where the protein bar
The
company
protein bar,
paid
yep.
for all the walk-on scholarships and gave everybody enough money, did whatever. Those blanket deals, we like to see what's going on. Some people are starting to do some of this great stuff. So let's not look at the mega deals, and I think CJ Stroud gonna be okay. I think we worry about him. And if he wasn't gonna be okay, then in 4 years he wasn't gonna be okay with the major league.
How many CJ Strouds? Just reflect upon it. I'm not. It's a rhetorical question. It's not an actual number that
I'm
I
gonna
want.
answer
But
anyway.
think how many CJ Strouds that we knew that were gonna have a promising career, Heisman hopefuls, and the shit just didn't work out.
Well, I mean, look at Haskins,
a
right?
Zillion.
Look at Haskins.
It just didn't work out.
He just died because he got drunk and walked down the highway. There's going to be people to do that, but you can't destroy the opportunities for all the people, because that's going to keep happening.
I don't want to destroy NIL. I want to add some structure to it.
Yeah,
let's move on. I just want to add some structure to it, and I want to put the
Before
onus
we move
on
on,
the institutions.
We got to talk about Notre Dame's big signing, big commitment.
Let's do it.
Big commitment.
Notre Dame news. You start us off. The ball's in your court. Pass the ball to you. Do your thing, man. What ball?
Yesterday they got a commitment. They got a big snub, and that's why I had to wear my ND today. C.J. Carr, 2024 quarterback out of Michigan, number 10 player, I think, in the nation, number 1 in the state, number 5 quarterback in the nation. He picked Notre Dame, baby, over his granddaddy's namesake. He probably lives in Michigan because his granddaddy coached at the university. I'm talking about none other than Lloyd Carr. Lloyd Carr had to sit there. I will say this, which I thought was funny. And I watched the announcement. I kind of get into the little recruiting thing. I watched the announcement. And he was talking about it. He's sitting there with his dad and his mom. And he said this, and he said, my granddad who's in the other room, so damn well he ain't going to Michigan. Ain't no damn way I'm standing up there on the screen with you and let you say you're going to Notre Dame. I'll be at the party, but I'm not going on that damn screen.
I'm not going to be in the picture.
I'm not being in the picture. You're not doing that to me, boy.
Shout out Lloyd Carr. Lloyd Carr was like, nah, bro, we ain't doing that.
Rumor has it cost us $13 million. I don't know many details. I don't have anybody corroborate, but they're throwing around numbers. There was a previous quarterback that we're going to get from Detroit, King High School, that was a lock for Notre Dame, and then he's a lock for somewhere else now. He's not even talking about Notre Dame. He's actually talking about Michigan, ironically, Ohio State, Oregon, different places like that.
That was the black quarterback from Detroit, right?
From Detroit, King High School, yeah. Shout out to King High School, Herb Gibson, alma mater. Anyway, he went out to some of these schools, and he was supposed to be getting, I heard he's getting about $6 million, right? And so Notre Dame said, we will not keep losing these dudes. So we're gonna stab Michigan in the heart. We're gonna take Carr's grandson, but it's gonna cost us 13 M's. And the reason why I believe the rumor is because 1 second after he announced where he was gonna go, here come Brady Quinn. Picking. They show him with like Gazoo. Remember Gazoo from the Flintstones? Like, you might be too young for that. He would just show up and he have all these bright ideas. All of a sudden on the screen, here come Brady Quinn with all sort of comments. Like he knew this was coming. This wasn't a big surprise to him because he wrote the check.
Dante Moore is the quarterback from Detroit.
Dante Moore, yeah. So, at the end of the day, God bless him. God bless America. Only in America. Only in America.
Lloyd Carr, man, appreciate you, man, for birthing what could be a starting Notre Dame quarterback at some point. 5-star kid. My ball hog highlight that's coming also from Notre Dame news is college baseball, man. We have the Super Regional that the play starts tonight, and Notre Dame made it to the Super Regional. Shout out to Notre Dame's baseball team. We play against Knoxville, Tennessee, the number 1 seeded team in the Super Regional level of the tournament. Best of 3. We start tonight, and we'll see how they do it, man. We'll see how it plays out. But Notre Dame baseball, wanted to give them a shout out. Let's move on quickly to this because it is Pride Month. And today's episode is called Pride and Joy. We talked about the pride and joy in terms of Notre Dame and getting the signee. We talked about pride and joy in some of these NIL deals. This is Pride Month. And in Pride Month, you know, interesting that this week, the first openly transgender cheerleader made an NFL cheerleading squad. It's the Carolina Panthers. The cheerleading squad is called Top Cats, I think, is what they call their cheerleading squad. But the
Big
first
cheerleaders in
openly
Chicago.
transgender cheerleader will be on the sidelines for an NFL team. Quite the news in Pride Month. I didn't know if you had any thoughts about it. Openly transgender.
I guess it's in some ways it's a reach for me. I thought about it when we looked at the topics. I mean, there's been male cheerleaders forever, right? Now, there's been more of a role of the male cheerleader, right? They're the bottom of the pyramid. They're the ones that hold them up. I don't know in the NFL if they do that. I don't really pay attention. The Bears banned cheerleaders because whatever Miss Hallis or whatever she said, she didn't like cheerleaders no more. So I forgot there was NFL cheerleaders because we haven't had them in Chicago in so long. But there's been male cheerleaders for a long time. This kind of goes funny because now cheerleading is it was more of a misogynistic attraction for so long, and now it's recognized more as a sport. So now you start looking to say, okay, is this another trans story where he's taking the opportunity away from a young lady that could be doing this? But at the end of the day, I think we make a little bit more out of it than whatever. I mean, there's been men and women in cheerleading for forever. It's not really a competition. So I guess I'll talk it up to who cares.
Chalk it up to who cares. But I would say because this cheerleader who Justine, what's her name?
Lamar.
Justine, let me look it up. Justine Lindsay, 29-year-old transgender woman who is now going to be a cheerleader, when posting basically said the exact opposite as opposed to who cares. Because I say who cares when it came to Carl Nassib, like, hey, we're over the sexuality thing and we should be happy that we're over it. And to be honest, I then doubled back and said I can get where that would sound insensitive. So when it comes to Justine Lindsay, I don't want to sound insensitive at all. So I am going to agree with Justine Lindsay in the sense that telling the story and making people feel more comfortable about the ability to do whatever they want to do, despite what their what their status is in the LGBTQ community. In this case, transgender woman being a cheerleader, it's good news. I hope that Justine Lindsay, 29 years old, I hope this opportunity leads to more opportunities. And I can tell by the way of Justine Lindsay's post, she's taking the exact opposite approach. And no, I want to tell my story and be very vocal with it, just in case it helps other people out there struggling with a decision to be who they are. So
I think I'm probably more impressed with the fact that Justine has alopecia, and I think the bravery to come out in a look at me role with alopecia. You know what I mean? A look at me type of thing. Alopecia, I think, is more of a big deal. I think in the performing arts in general, there's been a lot of LGBTQ people in performing arts for a long time. So I guess that's probably why I'm kind of like it's not that big of a deal because, ballet, you're going to find a lot, any sort of dance type of troupe and different things like that. Background dancers, different things for so long have been in that community and well accepted and appreciated and celebrated. I don't think it's the same type of leap as a football player doing it. I don't think even it's not as mainstream. I don't know. That's the way I look at it. But shout out for, going out there with alopecia and being proud of that and being able to do that. So I'm gonna give that.
Being proud of that as well. Alopecia became a conversation with Jada Pinkett, so I acknowledge.
Hey, and if you have a problem with Justine, we'll smack the shit out of you.
My wife's name out your mouth. We had another story that is a Pride Month story, but on the opposite end of it, instead of celebrating this Justine Lindsay and this new frontier of a transgender woman cheering for an NFL team. This comes, by the way, of baseball. And Tampa Bay, basically, the Rays, for Pride Month, they had a patch on the team, on his uniforms, intended to celebrate Pride Month. And they did this in their game Saturday against Chicago White Sox. They lost 3-2 to your White Sox. Are you White Sox or no?
I don't like baseball, but Cubs games are more fun. But
Your
my
Cubs.
in-laws are big White Sox people, so I
You're
got to be
You're
there.
South Side. South Side is
South Side is White Sox.
White Sox.
What they say as a non-baseball fan is people who are true fans of the sport like the White Sox. People who just like to go out and drink like the Cubs.
So you like the Cubs.
I like to go out and drink.
But Tampa Bay beat Chicago Saturday. But the story there is because of this is the 16th annual Pride Night celebration for the Rays, and the caps it had caps and uniforms, had logos colored in the rainbow, LGBTQ Pride flag. But not everyone in the clubhouse chose to participate. There were some pitchers who decided not to wear the patch. The pitchers were Jason Adam, Jalen Beeks, Brooks Raley, Jeffrey Springs, and Ryan Thompson. So you got 5 pitchers were among the players who did not wear the patch on their uniforms, and they chose to wear the team standard caps for the June 4th home game. So that became a topic because the players opted out of participation, and they cited religious reasons behind it. And I wanted to bring it here quickly because while I think we should absolutely celebrate accomplishments like, Justine Lindsay being the first transgender cheerleader in the NFL, while we should absolutely celebrate Pride Month and the ability for everyone to be whoever they want to be, it does come at a time where religious freedoms, because I thought that was the most interesting thing, that they cited their religious reasons behind not wearing the patch, which you would think, from a freedom standpoint, they got a right to believe what they want to believe. But from a Pride Month standpoint, it seems as though this runs afoul from the inclusivity that we're trying to get to from professional sports. Do you think the 5 pitchers, because they did cite religious reasons, should get a pass for not wearing the patch? Or could you still have your religious beliefs? Because it's not as though they couldn't espouse their religious beliefs and also wear the patch and embrace what was just a Pride Night that is about inclusivity. Any thoughts on it?
I'm not one that says that political statements don't belong in sports. I'm not one to say that at all. I do believe that you have a great platform, you got a lot of eyes, and if that's your belief, you want to do it. But I don't think someone should be forced to make a stance if that is something that they have a feeling. So I don't think people had to take a knee in solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement. I don't think if people didn't want to wear the Black Lives Matter patch in the NBA or on their sweats or, I can't breathe shirts, I believe that they should have the right not to wear that if that's not their belief. I don't think you should be able to force people to make statements. I don't think anyone's ever in the history, we always go back to breast cancer, right? I don't think anyone's ever said, I'm not wearing pink, right? No one's ever against breasts, right? They give life, they're nurturing, they're, things that
they don't give life. What I learned in my health class, they don't give life, but I get you.
They feed the young, they feed the youth, the babies. We wouldn't have this big issue about the formula is missing, but if they just embrace. Look, I digress. But anyway, so I don't think we should condemn people because they don't want to make a statement. I really don't. At the end of the day, if we can't, I don't want you to condemn LeBron James for making a statement, and I don't believe you should condemn somebody for not making a statement. And I believe that forcing somebody to wear the hat that says BLM or a hat that says whatever the patch is or whatever,
LGBT, I don't know what
if they decide that they want to play sports with no statements, I think that right has to be respected as much as the right to make a statement.
I would agree with you there, and to frame it even a little more specific to religious freedoms, that's where we've got to find a happy medium in our conversations to respect both the inclusivity of having the LGBTQ community well represented in not just sports, but all of life. There are our neighbors, there are friends, there are, in a lot of cases, there are family members. So I think we're all on the same page there, but the religious freedoms and being able to say that does not necessarily coincide with your religious beliefs and not be shunned because of it.
If you just don't want to do it, I don't wear it.
That's what I would prefer they said. But I
But
think
they
that
have
they
to give a
felt
reason because
compelled to.
otherwise they're going to get canceled. So
They had to add the religious.
I'm gonna side with them
reasons.
on this. You know what I mean? And I would have worn the patch if it was me. You know what I'm saying? I would have worn the patch if that's what we're doing. I'm gonna ride with the group. I'm gonna do what we're doing. But at the same time, man, they don't just want to do it, man. I didn't want to wear it. But if they don't say that, then they're gonna get canceled, and they got to get picketed, and people are gonna hate them for doing this. And if
Do
you
you think that
if
that
you're not
absolves
forced,
them
you're
from that?
against us. And that's
Does
That's where we're going too far. As society, we go too far. Like we can't force people to make a statement about everything. Man, if he just wants to play baseball and that's what he thinks that he wants to go do, just play
Right.
baseball, that's what you paid him to do. You didn't pay him to wear that.
Does the citation of religious beliefs as their reasoning, does that absolve them from the backlash that will probably have happened if people just thought that they were homophobic, if people just thought that they were intolerant, if people just thought that they were, does calling it or citing religious beliefs, does that absolve them from the backlash? Because those 5 pitchers, and I don't know who else in the clubhouse decided not to wear the patch, but that's a statement by not wearing a patch in Pride Month with the 16th annual Pride Night. So this isn't something new. Them deciding not to wear that hat, not to wear the rainbow
I don't think
patch.
that they owe anybody anything. As far as if you are let's go back to the take a knee, right? When the Star Spangled Banner comes on, I stand with my hand over my heart. Right. I have every support for everybody who takes a knee and do it. I don't do that. I put my hand over my heart. I don't even force my kid to do it, but he got to stand up. He got to do whatever. My reasons are not that they're really anyone's business, is that I'm a first generation American, right? My parents came here and we did some, they came from a rough spot and both came here as first generation Americans. So I realized it could, for me personally, my belief is it could be a lot worse for me, right? If I was back in Haiti, it could be a lot worse than it is. So I make my decision that I'm gonna stand up and show respect to that flag. But I also I'm in solidarity with everybody who decides that they want to take a knee and do whatever. So I could get canceled, I could get slapped around, people could say whatever they want to say for me. And I'm explaining it to you because we're on the show, but I don't owe anybody the explanation. And I don't feel like those people don't want to wear the hat or whatever. They might just say, I don't want to do anything, any sort of political nothing. I just want to go play baseball. And I don't feel like we should be able to say as a society, no, you have to show support for this. You have to show. I just want to play baseball, man. I don't have an opinion. I don't have an opinion at all. That's okay too. But in this society, we have to say religious freedom. Now you're going to say, oh, well, my God doesn't say that this, whatever. I just want to pitch. That's okay. We can't tell people that they can't just do that. That's my belief. And again, I keep making the parallel to Black Lives Matter, whatever, because I support that. And I don't want to sound hypocritical and say, well, I'm just saying it because it's not my cause. Any cause out there. If you don't want to show support, you got to give people the freedom to do it. We can't bully people into saying that they're doing something. And that doesn't mean that they're anti the community. They just don't want to wear the hat for whatever reason.
The pitcher, Jason Adams, said to the Tampa Bay Times, and I quote, "A lot of it comes down to faith, to like a faith-based decision." He also went on to say, "So it's a hard decision because ultimately we all said what we want is them to know that all are welcome and loved here." But very interesting, man, because to your point, not everything is so simple, not that binary. Either I support this night and wear the flag, or I'm homophobic. Most things have a lot of in between grounds, and I agree. I would have wore the patch too, but I start to wonder: have we been conditioned such that we're just trying to avoid conflict? I would have worn the patch probably more so because I do believe in inclusivity. I do believe in trying to overcome a lot of the mistreatment over generations that LGBTQ community members have had to face. So I would have worn the patch just to show in solidarity that I'm acknowledging that for years it has been, to be gay in sports for years is almost a death sentence, right? So I would have worn the patch for those reasons. But I'm also acknowledging when I read this, like there are people in between that maybe didn't want to wear a patch, but they're absolutely not homophobic.
And just like there's people out there who don't want to wear a BLM hat that are not racist. They don't want to get involved, or maybe some people. I get people to argue with me about BLM, and they talk about some Marxist thing, but I don't look into it that deep. I think 99.9% of the people who think of BLM think of it as they just don't want to see black people. They want to make sure our lives matter as much as everyone else's life. That's 99.999%. There's a small percentage of people that might be trying to push some other agenda, and I think the only people who think about that are the people who are against Black Lives Matter. In my opinion, I've never met anybody black that has ever come to me and talked about anything other than they just don't want people to get killed in the streets. So they decide that they're against they do value black people, but they're against the movement. They don't want to wear it. God bless you. If you don't want to do it, that's fine too. And you know what? If you have a problem with the fact that people don't want to do it as an individual, and you don't want people, if you're so down for the cause that you feel like if you're not with us, you're against us, I respect you for that too. I get that. You know, and I guess I would take criticism, for not taking. I don't know if you would have taken a knee in the NFL, and I don't know, maybe I'd have felt a little different if I was with my teammates and they all wanted to take a knee. Maybe I would have had a different feeling. But first of all, I think it's crazy when people understand taking knees anyway. It look a little bit crazy, whatever. Like nobody's even really watching you, But at the end of the day, I stand up and I do what I do. And people make their beliefs. I try not to judge people for fights that you can't do every fight. Right. So, but that is one I would agree with. I'd wear the hat, and I say because I do believe in inclusivity, and I don't want anyone. I would want anyone to feel any way different. And there's absolutely no statement made by wearing it to me other than that's how I feel. Like there's nothing. It doesn't contradict any other belief I have of the right to do it. So,
all right. What all of this brings to light, and first of all, you said that if you were in Haiti, it could be a lot worse. But I think if you were in Haiti, you have a head full of hair. I think the fact
you think I lost my hair because of this country,
because you came here, man.
I got a funny. My dad used to live and die off 60 Minutes, right? And he said he couldn't start his week without Andy Rooney. He had to hear what Andy Rooney had to say. That was his week on Sundays, right? And Andy Rooney did this thing on frivolous lawsuits, and he started talking about it. It's one of my favorite little skits. And he showed a picture of himself when he started the 60 Minutes and a picture of himself today and how gray and weathered he was. And he said he was going to sue 60 Minutes because the only thing he could think of that caused him to look like this, not the fact that he aged 50 years, was 60 Minutes.
60 Minutes,
so
frivolous
lawsuits. I am hereby announcing my lawsuit for the United States of America.
You're going to sue America.
For making it look like I have alopecia
right
on top of my head. And if I was in Haiti, it would not be that way. So,
bro, you have America. A curl. You have
like one.
You just be deciding what you're doing with your hair. That would be the hardest decision.
Texturizer,
braided this time.
Man, I miss my hairline. You can't even tell where it used to be. I think it was around here somewhere.
But you bring some good things to light, man. When you talk about sort of how we politicized everything, and I guess it'd be the best time to end here with the January 6th hearings, because it was, I think, sort of the peak of politicizing everything.
Politification.
And January 6th, regardless of your politics, I think was in itself politicized. But the hearings have had everyone in a trance for the last few days. Jack Del Rio, who's with the Washington Commanders now, called January 6th a dust-up, and ironically compared it to Black Lives Matter protests after George Floyd's death, and how in the protests to the George Floyd death, people were burning things. It was a big melee, and he talked about the behaviors of the George Floyd protest versus January 6th. And we all saw January 6th. We saw the videos. We saw the insurrection, right? So, and he called it a little dust up. And when he called it a little dust up, people responded. They took issue with him calling a dust up. Two players in particular, Doug Baldwin, who used to play for the Seahawks at one point. I think he played for some other team.
Was he a receiver?
He's a receiver. Mm-hmm. And then Brian Mitchell, who played for Washington when it was called something else, now Washington Commanders. They took issue with what Jack Del Rio said. And I guess we'll end the show here on this episode of Pride and Joy, right? some insurrectionists who participated talked about their participation as a commitment to the flag and their pride and joy that they felt like the democracy was being overtaken. Um, some who participated in the George Floyd protests in response to what happened there will also talk about, the pride and joy of being in solidarity with people that say enough is enough when it comes to these injustices. But Jack Del Rio saying that in that context, in a league that is predominantly made up of black men, seems to be a little tone deaf at a minimum. I don't
From a
want to call
comparison
it racist.
standpoint, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it just seems a little tone deaf. But do you think his use of or description of it as a dust up is what he called the insurrection, versus people's lives and businesses being ruined in a non-peaceful protest? Where do you see that? Is it?
I mean, it's funny, and again, I have political conversations with some friends of mine that are not on the same political wavelength that I am on. I don't know if wavelength is the right word, but whatever. We don't look the same, and I always encourage those kind of conversations because I very much like to understand how people think. But to say that is a dust up. Now, granted, because he said nothing was burned. Okay, people
he was focusing on the fire. He was
on the fire. Okay,
yeah.
Okay, but the capital, like when you go take a country over, what do? You go into their capital and you hang their flag, right?
Right.
These people went into the capital to overthrow the government, and so to speak, right? They killed people. People died during it. They beat all the people do that are probably the big Blue Lives Matter people. They beat on the police officers. It was super violent, right? There's a Netflix show that talks about it, which I can't believe how much video they have, but it shows all the video. It's a super violent event. Anyone could call it a dust up. I mean, there's points where they're in the tunnel pushing against the cops. They drag a cop out. And they're beating him to death until he says, I have a family. They finally kind of broke out of it and they brought him back, but he had to go to the emergency room. Other dude had a heart attack and died, do whatever. But the friends I argue with about this will always try to minimize it and say, oh, how do we know that those people were these people? Maybe they were this. Maybe those were people from Antifa, whatever. It was not a dust up at the end of the day. But I don't know the context of his conversation. I don't know why he was talking about it. Like where that came up.
I think just because of the hearings, being in Washington's team, he's in DC. He was asked about it, and I don't know why he had to make the comparison. I think he would have been fine by just calling it a dust up, because it's all perspective and it's subjective to how you interpret it. But calling it a dust up in contrast to the George Floyd protest is where he got himself in deep trouble and was a bit tone deaf and insensitive to players that spent a lot of time taking a knee because of the injustices, because of the likelihood and probability that a person of color, when being pulled over in a routine traffic stop, is significantly more likely to encounter force.
I think so. When you first talked about the league being, mostly black, my first thought was like, what does it have to do with the dust up? I was like, oh wait, shit. Yeah, he made it that way because he had to describe it saying, this is so much worse than this little thing that happened over here. And I'm like, that's where I think he made a mistake. I think sometimes, we're on the microphone once a week. We got to think about the things we say. I talk a lot of shit and I say a lot of crazy off the wall things, but I try to think about what I'm saying here because I know people are listening. And a guy like Jack has been in the media for a long, long time. He doesn't really get the pass of like, you can't just say things and not expect people to listen and have a reaction to it. And to call that a dust up, and then he went back and said, oh, yeah, I shouldn't have called it a dust up, but I stand behind what I was saying about people, the businesses, whatever. Yeah, it just, sometimes you tell on yourself, like, man, you just told on yourself. Like it's hard for you to say that and then come back later and say something different. So I don't have an opinion of Jack Del Rio at all. To be honest with you, I wouldn't even able to tell you that he was the head coach of the Washington Commanders if you didn't tell me that. I
No,
think
he's not the head coach, but he's I think
D
he's a
coordinator.
defensive specialist or whatever.
Okay, I wouldn't see. Well, even after this, I still don't think
Defense
about
coordinator.
D coordinator. So I don't know. I think he should. People need to sometimes say no comment, unless that's what he wanted. I think if that's what he wanted to get out there, that's what he wanted to get out there, and that's fair too. But with sharing your opinion comes the scrutiny that goes along with it, and people are gonna have the right to scrutinize what you had to say and do whatever. I'm gonna go back to not caring.
The irony is he's working on the staff of Ron Rivera, one of a handful of diverse coaches in the NFL. But it is what it is. Let's for the week, man. This episode, Pride and Joy, we've gone a little longer than normal. We started a little later than normal, but
It's the
I think
lunchtime edition.
little lunchtime edition. But the content was just as good. We appreciate everyone. Like we ask you every week, we ask you kindly and humbly, please like, comment, and share. Tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anyone that you know, and please subscribe to both our YouTube channel and to our podcast. This has been the Ball Hog Sports Talk. My man, the Big Flow Show, came to you from the Windy City in Chicago. That's Summer City, they call it. I came to you from New York. I am B. Brown, ESQ, a.k.a. the Ball Hog, a.k.a. the Mouth of South, a.k.a. Mr. Excessive Celebration, a.k.a. Breezy. This episode, the Pride and Joy episode, is one that we have a lot of pride and joy in because this podcast is our pride and joy. So please like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anybody that you know, and please let us get in other people's ears so they can hear how we do it. Sports, business, entertainment, they collide here on the Ball Hog Sports Talk. We do it rough, regular, raw every single Fridays when we record, but you can listen to us at any time. And with that, because we had a lot of fun today, but with that, unless you had any shout outs before we go?
No,
Quick shout out.
ready for the we is out.
Oh, the one shout out though. Remember?
Oh, shout out to my man Trent Mosley. He's kind of like my godson. My godson's little brother, Emmett Mosley's son. This guy went out 8th grader. He ran a 4.45 at the camp. He picked up Notre Dame. He picked up Michigan. Ooh, I may have spilled the beans. And he picked up Michigan State in one weekend. And the man hasn't even touched the high school field yet.
8th grade.
Shout out to my man Trent, making your uncle proud. We know where you're gonna end up going.
Yeah. E. Mose was one of the receivers that took me under his wing. So shout out to him, man. But
and Cindy Dawes, he get all his talent from his mama.
Cindy
his dad just didn't ruin it.
Yeah,
his dad just didn't ruin it. Cindy Dawes, now Cindy Mosley. He got a daughter playing soccer. He got a number 14 kid in the nation, football player, the 8th grader. They got one left, Grant, who just waiting. Grant go get something too. Shout out to
God bless him, man. God bless America. And that's the perfect way to end this episode of Pride and Joy, man. Do your thing, Mosley family. Their Pride and Joy has a great offer in Notre Dame, man. Great shout out to go out on. And with that, for the week, Pride and Joy episode, we is out. Peace.